an address. Honorable Hosea Frederick.
First, let me acknowledge the presence of our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, in the Kalinago space. Our Obutu, Sanford, my cabinet colleagues, Honorable McIntyre, and also Minister of State Defoe. Let me also pleasantly welcome again Mrs. Britton, former PS and presidential nominee, and incoming president for sure, and her husband. The councillors who are here, and also the past Kalinago chief. And importantly, in the conversation I'll be having, highlight also the importance of our past parliamentarians who are here with us today. Our special guest, Mr. Dr. Pierre St. Luce from Guadeloupe, and our team here. Ms. Dominica, our very own Adise Burton, our wonderful partners at the UNDP, at the DDA, at the Ministry of Tourism, the press, the staff of various ministries were present. Good morning, Mabrika. The leadership at the ministerial and parliamentary level have been very evident throughout the Kalinago territory for a very, very long time. But more importantly, it is since 2000, under the leadership of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, that there has been an intense concentration on development within our space, more than ever before. And we can attest to the work done by Honorable Kelly Grano, the work done by Honorable Ashton Grano, and also Honorable Cassius Darrow. And we have done this because we as leaders understand that we have to be continuously engaged and be part of the conversation. And so involving political leadership in economic planning and economic development is very essential. And this is so for a number of reasons. So first of all, at the leadership level, we are tasked with policy formulation. And so really and truly, we have the authority and the influence to shape economic policies. Our involvement ensures that these policies align with our overall vision of a community and the country, and also the major goals of a small island developing state. And so, for example, we can speak to some of these policy utterances and action plans. We do have in existence as we speak the NEP, the National Employment Program, that has spread its wings across the Waitiki-Williams space and have ensured the engagement of people in the private sector, in the public service, at schools, and throughout our communities. We can also speak to the non-pensionable allowances. These are part of the government policies. Free medical care for children and for the elderly. We can also speak to the scholarship programs that ensure that from the high school all the way through university education, that children can get educated. So all of those are part of the policy formulation that we're part of. And importantly, in the Kalinago space and across the Waitiki-Williams space, we also have the very targeted housing revolution. So that's important. We also have to be part of that discussion because we are also involved in decision making. And in the case of Dominica since 2000, in recent history, we have been able to make some very crucial decisions very quickly. The snap of a finger, responding to natural disasters, responding to the shocks from the economic world. And all of this is often necessary in economic planning to respond to the ever-changing global crises and conditions. And so, for example, we have been able to use our CBI funds for national projects, like the airport. We have been able to be part and parcel of choosing the next president of our country. That's very important. We have done a redesigning of the salary scales for civil servants or the public service. So that is very important. Another critical piece that we play as leaders at the political leadership level is resource allocation. As a small island developing state, we are always tied down for resources. So when these resources are made available, we have to be able to allocate it in a proper way. And so, for all the last 23 years in recent history, we have been able to allocate resources very efficiently, ensuring that investments are made in areas that have more significant impact on economic growth and also physical development. And so we have gone the route of taking loans from the World Bank, for instance. And we see the manifestation of those loans in our brand new East Coast Road. $79 million will be spent within the Kalinago space to ensure that transportation and access to our community becomes a top priority. We have been able to successfully respond to the housing situation through a loan system again at the World Bank, through our housing recovery project. And more than 125 people within our Kalinago space have been beneficiaries. And comrades, friends, our political leadership is also important in stakeholder engagement, like what we're doing today. We are taking a grassroots approach as we continue to engage various stakeholders, various citizens, businesses, and international partners to gather input and support for our plans. And so we work with the World Bank, the Global Climate Fund, GCF. We have been working with National Geographic. We have done a wonderful documentary in Dominica. We're working now with Common Earth Enterprise. And so all of this is important as leaders to be part and parcel of that conversation, especially as it deals with economic development. Another key pillar for us as the government, and it's very important for the economic conversation, is accountability. And so we are held accountable for economic performances across the board. And so involving us in part of this conversation is important to ensure that from the government level we take some ownership, and that the outcomes are the true outcomes that directly benefit people at the grassroots level like ourselves. And so in terms of our accountability, we have been very, very diligent in our national budget. We cut back on some of our spendings, and even have a wonderful savings program under the CBI program. But one of the final pieces that bring all of this together is our involvement in coordination. Because economic planning involves multiple sectors, as you would realize from our conversation today, and also a number of agencies across the board. And so as the government, as the members of parliament, as ministers, we continue to facilitate coordination among these entities to ensure that there is coherency and that there is an effective economic strategy. And the final piece of all of this conversation really is the long-term vision. And the Prime Minister, after working Mario in 2017, proclaimed to the world that we would make our country the first climate resilient country. And so this is a long-term vision. So all of us have to play our part in this mission to ensure that we have better homes, we have stronger communities, that civil society takes on its roles and responsibilities, that government plays its part, that every citizen has a role and responsibility to ensure his or her development, and that the burden doesn't just lie on the government. And so we have a lot of global challenges. There are challenges that are beyond the control of our government, gas prices, the ever-changing global environment, the war in Ukraine, and the massive prices in wheat and flour, etc. But it's important because at the end, as a minister in the parliament, I also realize that we have been able to bring some political stability within our space. And so after being scrutinized by many international agencies, we have passed the test in flying colors, that we're able to govern. And that's why it is important that we are part of the conversation. So friends, I'm hoping that we have a wonderful conversation today as we continue to put the pieces together to make the Kalinago space a wonderful space as a small section of the Dominican space. And so at the government level, we do play a crucial role in economic planning. And it is because of our ability to set directions, to make some serious decisions, to mobilize the resources effectively. And we are hoping that ultimately we will create a better space for everyone across the Dominican or the white Cuban landscape. So good morning, friends. I hope we enjoy the rest of the day. And thank you very much for your patience. Thank you.
Let us put your hands together for the Honorable Minister. I mean, it's Kalinago week, and yeah, that's better. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Kuzia Frederick, Minister for Environment, Rural Modernization, Kalinago Upliftment and Constituency Empowerment, and Parliamentary Representative for the Salibia constituency. At this time, it gives me great pleasure, and we are happy that we have with us Kalinago himself, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, who will deliver the address. Put your hands together for the Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Morning, everybody. Let me, first of all, greet my friend and colleague, Honorable Dr. Urban McIntyre, our Minister of Finance and Planning. My friend and colleague, Honorable Kuzia Frederick, our Parliamentary Representative for the Salibia constituency and Minister for Kalinago Upliftment. I see my friend, Honorable Julian Defoe, Mr. Lorenzo Sanford, our Kalinago Chief. I recognize my friends, former ministers, Honorable Mr. Kelly Grano and Mr. Cassius Daru, our former Kalinago Chiefs, Mr. Garnet Joseph, sorry, Hillary Joseph. Garnet. Yes. Garnet Joseph, I had it correct. I was thinking of Hillary Frederick, you know, my old friend, you know, who passed away. And Mr. Irvins August, our friends here. I want to especially recognize Mrs. Sylvanie Burton and Mr. Burton, our friends from Guadeloupe. Ashante, welcome. We're happy to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, friends all, good morning. I have a wonderful speech written, but I will share with you some words away from my script. I want to commend the organizers for this event. I believe it is an opportune time for us to meet as residents of the Kalinago territory with some friends who are here with us to look at the economic landscape of the Kalinago territory and what we need to do to take advantage of the opportunities that we have for the economic and social advancement of the Kalinago people in the Kalinago territory. You're celebrating 120 years, and in this celebration, you have with us who will soon be elected as president of our country, a Kalinago. And I think it speaks to the achievements that we've had as a people. And this is why it's important for us not to speak as if we are planning from a blank slate, but we need to plan from what we have achieved thus far, and to see what else we need to do to take advantage of the opportunities which exist. And therefore, we must have a boisterous and engagement of hope and excitement that we have what it takes within the Kalinago territory, with the support of our friends who are here and others, to achieve our goal of economic and social prosperity. We have investments in the Kalinago territory that have been done by locals and also by the state to assist in enhancing the economic opportunities for the Kalinago territory. We're right here at the Kalinago Barana Ote, which was constructed with the hope of being the nucleus of tourism activity within the Kalinago territory that can branch out throughout the Kalinago territory for the greater benefit of the people. I really must commend the management and staff for the way that they have been maintaining this facility. It's always clean, always well landscaped. And so what we need to look at within the Kalinago territory, what else do we need to do to enhance the opportunities to achieve the original objectives of the establishment of this facility? Should we not promote it as a wedding locality, a place where people can have weddings and receptions with a Kalinago experience? Should we not seek to transform it into a true horticultural center, where when you come you can immerse yourself in the flora and the fauna of indigenous plants within the Kalinago territory? A herbal garden. I'm here this morning, we'll be having coffee, but we're having Folgers. So we don't have coffee made from the Kalinago territory. We have herbal teas, but I see it's made in the United States. Where's the basilic, the fresh basilic plant, and the peppermint, and the lemongrass, and patchouli, and all of what we have here in the Kalinago territory, grown by Kalinago people, and supplying us who come from outside to spend our money so that every dollar we make stays here. And so there are things that we're doing. We speak of people like Reginald, we speak of people like Irving August and his family, who have been doing wonderful work in tourism. And how can we replicate this? How can we help them get to the level that they should be? And so that we can see more people coming in here and more monies, foreign exchange taking place here in the Kalinago territory. Because the whole idea should be, how can we get money to come into Kalinago territory to mix with what we have and create opportunities for ourselves? We have the many sites, the tourism sites. The Lescalitechen, which is renowned. How do we market this as a place that Dominicans and visitors must visit and should visit? How do we expose people to the experience of making cassava bread and cassava farine as part of our tourism offering? And so there are a number of things that we can speak to that has happened in the Kalinago territory that we can build. Mr. Patrick Hill built a few facilities, a few rooms, and it was taken off. It was affected by the hurricane. But we need to have opportunities where people can come and sleep in the Kalinago territory. And we can have a mixture of these things, of small, eco-friendly facilities, mixed with Airbnb, and mixed with homestay experience. Experiencing everything that we have in the Kalinago territory. How do we enhance our cultural art form for it to become a major exporter? Because if our artists can go out and perform, when they come back, they bring in euros, and they bring US to mix with our EC here, to allow it to multiply. And so we have the raw talent, we have the capacity. The question is, how do we harness them? How do we enhance them to a greater benefit? I don't think we need anything brought in the Kalinago territory to cause us to create our economic prosperity, except, of course, with some money in there. We talk about agriculture. If we're going to be successful in agriculture, we have first to promote household food security. And secondly, community food security. Because we have to ensure that every home can feed themselves and the community can feed itself. And I think in the Kalinago territory, as I'm seeking to do my own constituency, is to encourage people to have a breadfruit tree, have an avocado tree, have a cherry tree, have a soursop tree, that they can make juice from, that they can eat from. Growing of the beans, there's no reason why we should be buying imported red beans when we can grow it in Dominica. Or pink beans, or string beans, or green beans. What are we feeding our children at the schools? Are we feeding them dumplings and pig snout? Or are we feeding them local stuff grown there, chicken grown by the farmers here in the Kalinago territory? Where do we get our eggs from? Do we go to Roseland and buy eggs and half of them break before we get to the Kalinago territory, or do we buy it from the farmers here in the Kalinago territory? So these are the questions I believe that and I'm speaking to us here because I'm part of the community. So I'm not talking from a vantage point of a stranger, I'm talking here as friends, there among ourselves. Some questions I believe that we need to certainly look at. And what are the crops here that can grow here in the Kalinago territory to focus on? Cocoa, citrus, coconut is big business. We should be littering the place with cocoa and coconuts as a major crop. Citrus, I keep encouraging people to grow limes in Dominica. You can never go wrong with planting limes. And I remember going to Paybush and visiting the farm road, and I asked the guy, what are you planting? And he says, I'm planting limes. I said, great. He said, I heard you talking about growing limes, and I decided to go into limes full time. And he told me he's making serious money in limes. And he started making his own plants, which I don't necessarily really have the science to do it, but he's making it altogether. And so there are things that we need to do to enhance opportunities. What we try to do from the government is to put the infrastructure. We're doing the road. I know we have a dust on the road, but we should not criticize the road. We should criticize the contractor and not the road. There's $79 million being spent on this road to enhance communication and access to the Kalinago territory so that more people can feel safer driving to Kalinago territory once it is completed. In Castle Bruce, they used to make a lot of noise about the dust. Now, they're boasting about how smooth the road is and how exciting it is as a finished product. And of course, this investments we're making, building homes so that people have resilient homes that they can work from and they can sleep from and they can build from. Providing support to the cassava farmers and those who are involved in adding value to the cassava. But we have to find a way of sustaining those things. What do we do with the bakery that we have invested in? Are we baking bread, or there are 5 and 10 buses coming from different parts of Dominica selling bread in the Kalinago territory? And we all go on and buy $15 bread every day. These are monies that could stay here. So who is the baker here in the Kalinago territory can manage the bakery for us and supply? And when the buses come from outside, we tell them, my brother, we don't have bread, we have our bread here. So there we have a base to start from and to build from. And I think we need to look at it and see what we need to do. How do we cost some of the things that we need so we can engage the government and say, okay, well, for the next 5 years, we need $5 million to build capacity. How do we help the Airbnb and the homestay to have white sheets and white towels so that the guests can have the experience that they need to have? And sometimes when we talk about investments, we like to have big figures. People want to come to Dominica and to the Kalinago territory to experience who we are and what we have to offer. And therefore, we have to offer them these things. So the trail passes through here. They should not go back to town and slip. They should slip in the Kalinago territory and continue in the next segments. And so these are some of the things I would like to offer us. The issue of skills development. Where the skills gap in the Kalinago territory so that we can have a more focused and targeted training program on what we really need now and in the next 10 and 15 years. So that training programs can be developed to provide that skills training to our people so that they can provide the support for the investments that we make in the Kalinago territory. And I say you have the skill sets, you have the talent, you have the knowledge here. My friend Defoe is here. I'm sure he'll speak about aquaculture to you. So that whenever somebody comes there, they can get the fish from us, they can get the chicken from us, they get the breadfruit from us, they get the provisions from us, the beans from us. So everything and every dollar stays there rather than having to pay the distributors of product 90% of the money, and we take 10, we keep 10 for ourselves that we have to give out and then no profit to ourselves. So we need to look at what we have, my friends, I would say, and let us take a positive approach to this. An exciting approach to it, that here lies tremendous opportunities for us. And we are at a point where we like to take full advantage of those opportunities to create sustainable jobs, to create wealth for people, because ultimately that's what we want to have. To make money so that we can help each other. We can create jobs, and create jobs these people can do their own thing eventually. We have created the Kalinago Development Fund because we know the financing issues that you have in terms of using your lands as collateral, unlike the rest of the country. But even the land ownership that you have offers you an opportunity to. So we must look at it from the positive side of it. Because that's what makes you different from the rest of America. That's what makes you different from the rest of the Caribbean. That you have your own individual culture and personality and characteristic that we need to find a way of marketing and taking advantage of it. And so with the Kalinago Development Fund, I believe coming out of this symposium, you should be able to advise the Minister for Kalinago Upliftment, okay, Minister, this is how we believe the money should be spent. This is how the terms and conditions should be looked at. We need to review it. And this year we'll focus on tourism. Next year we'll focus on agriculture, etc., so that we can bring sharper focus to this thing. Now, I am not imposing those thoughts on you. Don't get me wrong. I'm simply sharing with you some perspectives I have, and I will wish to put on the table to you as a friend of the Kalinago people and Kalinago development. And so we're open to receiving the report and the suggestions and the plans from you. I am taking a very keen interest in this, as you know. I believe, as a student of history, this is why we've invested heavily in the Kalinago territory. Obviously, we've been brought back with the natural disasters that affected this place. But I understand the historical impacts of various actions on indigenous people, not only in Dominica, but the entire world. And it's important that the government continues to invest in the Kalinago territory. And we should make no excuse about it, or anybody who is envious of it, then that's matter for them. But I believe that it's important that we empower you, and we provide you with the resources that you need, but it's important for you to prioritize and to have a clear understanding of what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it, and then we come in to assist you with the resources to help you achieve and implement those aspects of development. But I don't think we need to look and read on Google anything to find out what we need to do in the Kalinago territory or go and read research papers and so on. I think in this room, I see faces in this room there that we have people who train in agriculture and fisheries and aquaculture and tourism and finance and development, rural development and history and you name it. It's in this room. And there's some faces who work couldn't make it this morning who could contribute to the discussion and so forth. So you have what it takes. I do not want us to think that we're working from a blank slate. We have images on the canvas. We now need to add additional images or enhance the images that are already there to our benefit and to our development. And so I look forward to this. And just finally, life is very strange, and this is why you must always walk in humility. I came in here this morning, and Mrs. Burton stood to greet me. On the afternoon of the 2nd, I'll have to rise when she comes in. So when they say, all rise, Her Excellency has arrived, the Prime Minister will have to stand. So you never know where life takes you. And so you always was walking in humility. So that I will know my place on the 2nd. But I'm happy to be here, and such a wonderful time to be here. And I do not want us to underestimate and undervalue the identification of a Kalinago person and a woman at that to hold the highest office in our country. This must serve as a motivation for all of us not only in the Kalinago territory, but all of us, that if we commit ourselves to hard work and diligence, we commit ourselves truly to the people who we serve, though we have other options that we could pursue, but we decided to remain here among the people, that one day the eyes of the Lord will fall upon you and he will elevate you and provide you with the support that you need. And so this is an exciting time for indigenous peoples across the world, that an indigenous person in Dominica could be recognized and identified as our head of state. And I will say to you that I have submitted to the Speaker of the House all documents as required by the Constitution to formalize the candidacy and nominee of Mrs. Burton as the presidential nominee for Dominica. So once the Lord gives us life, we will be in Parliament on the 27th to elect the President of Dominica. And so we look forward to this glorious day for us. And this is an opportunity and time for us to build from that we have achieved and we are achieving. And how do we achieve more? How do we take advantage of what we have to a greater benefit? And so I am so happy for your invitation to be here. I would not have missed this opportunity to be part of this engagement for anything, because I believe that we need to ensure that our Kalinago people are given a true opportunity for development. And I want to say to you, the investment that we've made and my utterances in respect to our commitment to the Kalinago people is not steeped in political consideration. It is steeped in my, as I said, my understanding of history and the need for us to address historical injustices that have been meted out to our indigenous peoples, not only in Dominica but the world, and to ensure that we give them the opportunity to be empowered and take advantage and to be independent. And this is what we've been doing in terms of our investment in the Kalinago territory. And so let us see how we can build on what we have. And so we can have a full house, a whole house of engagement, of plans and programs that we can realize the true development and true potential of the indigenous people of Dominica. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Thank you so much for this food for thought. All right, at this time, we have come to the official, the end of the official opening ceremony for this very important symposium. And we will have some snacks available for you, and then we will return to have the symposium. Now, this very important symposium, let me just inform you before we take our break, was coordinated by Mr. Louis Patrick Hill, and it will be moderated by Mr. Hill when we return from our break. Put your hands together. Thank you so much. Yeah.